We have a tradition here that we allow people to speak on topic, and we appreciate that. And I think I was trying to be a little bit funny, and it may have come off like I was trying to put you off, and I didn't mean that, so forgive me. That being said, you guys did a great job of hanging in there and speaking one at a time, and I also really appreciate that. And if you could just turn cell phones off because they're really distracting, I would appreciate that. And minutes. Last meeting, everybody had a chance to go over those?
No.
Oh, sorry.
All right,
If you didn't get the
yes.
packet, you couldn't.
Your comments did make it into the meeting minutes. Black.
They did?
They did.
Yeah. Did the comment that the board would spend $200,000 on a barge make it to the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, then that's all I got.
Over.
Over?
It says over in there, doesn't it?
I haven't seen it. I've been down there all day and
Yeah. It states that they'd be willing to make an additional appropriation if we go over the
It does.
$200,000.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
It was
Janice?
me, and not Lance. But I think Lance was on there too.
Sorry I'm late.
But it's in, I checked it. Yeah.
I'll move that we approve the minutes with those clarifications that we just made.
Thanks, John. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the April 15 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They stand approved as corrected. Read. Manager's report. Adam, all you.
All right. Well, we got a long agenda here today. Not really long, but we're all here for the barge, I know, and to move things quick. The rest of the items are things that can be knocked out tonight. We're done to move on with. It should be very fast. There's a couple motions. I'd like to do those, and we'll come back to the barge. That's fine. That's how I'm gonna do. Freeholder survey review. We have sent out a PDF version and a pilot test for the freeholder survey to the board members. Due to the timing, and since we have to extend the contract, we do have an addendum to the original contract that we need to get signed. It's essentially pushing back to extend it through September 1st, 2015. I would like to seek a motion to authorize Pam to sign this, and that'll keep us moving on here.
I move adopting the addendum.
There's no extra cost, correct?
No added cost, as of now.
Have a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
What's the
sorry.
addendum on that?
Since we had to keep pushing it back a few different times, they had to extend the contract, the
Oh,
initial
so to
end
extend
date.
the
Yeah,
contract,
it's to
not
extend
the
it.
addendum to the survey.
No, just
No.
the contract for timing.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Alright, is this?
Is it just-
Sign? Also, if we do have to delay this freeholder survey again, we're going to inquire extra cost. So we have to wait till the May 20th board meeting. There will be another addendum of extra cost. I would like the board, since they have reviewed it all and we've had a time to comment, I would like the board to make a motion to authorize me to be a point of contact to move this forward so we can get it done and not incur any extra costs. I think it's in a pretty good state right now, how it is, and anything else will be minor changes from the comments. So will people entertain that?
Is there any discussion? We actually need a motion to do that,
I
correct?
don't need a motion.
I'm not sure what did you want the motion to say?
To authorize me to move forward with this as a single point of contact. So when we say it's ready to go, I can say yes.
So we've handed it off
Yes.
to management.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make the motion that we hand this off to management. That we give you, Adam, control of it from here on out.
I'll second it, but in the discussion, this is not the same thing as us approving the survey, because Marty made a really good point.
Correct.
That we need to approve this as a group.
Well, this, yeah,
From the
that kind of
committee.
was
The
That's what he's
committee has to
asking.
recommend it.
Or we can
yeah.
motion to
Right.
approve this with your guys' comments
Right.
to be implemented.
Okay, so that's what this motion
Yeah.
is, all right, okay.
Well, okay, so you're going to approve it with comments, but we don't know if the comments are going to be, how they're going to be addressed, right? I mean, these,
We only
you sent the thing out via email, and then we all have an opportunity to comment on it. but then we don't ever see the final product before you send it out.
We really didn't receive many comments back from the board from this pilot test.
Well, I didn't give you any comments because I thought there would be a board meeting where we would discuss it openly and approve it.
Well, that's kind of what we have here. You have, you should have I mean, we could go through it right now and kind of go over everything and approve it. But I think that's kind of what we need to do, or else the addendums kind of.
Well, I don't want to slow the process down. I
Maybe we
started
just
going
gotta-
through it. Is there still a question about whether we should purchase a small barge operation?
There is not asked if people would be willing to pay additional money to increase the scope and expanse of the dredging operation. Since the board has already moved forward and agreed that we're gonna build a small barge, it was decided that we would take that question off and just rephrase it to say expand the operation.
Okay. But I mean, the thing is let's say I have a question and I say, well, I'd like to add this question to it. Well, there's no opportunity for the board to discuss that. I mean, you'll either decide to do it or not, and then you'll have the approval based on this vote to either do it or not do it without any additional discussion.
Well, from the comments, we received nothing that asked for additional questions in there.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna fight it. I think it's a little, that's fine.
Well, if you think we have the cart before the horse, we can, if you have things. to
Well,
add,
no,
we
I
can
mean, there's
discuss
just
it.
some things
I was
that-
prepared to discuss tonight, and John, you being the head of that committee, you can certainly
Yeah,
hash it out.
We should
Let's do it,
discuss
so
it.
that, so that you're
Okay.
happy with
We
it.
should
It's
discuss
here.
it, Mark.
Yeah,
Here it is, in page by page.
so this, and that is the
Did the
most.
board receive my comments, or did you receive?
I did, yeah,
Okay.
I did.
I'm sorry, I just sent them to Pam as the
Oh,
chair.
whoops, I didn't see that, sorry, but yes, no, I did get them, they were good.
Well, I sent them to Adam and what's her name, Katie?
Okay.
Ann, do you have anything to say about the survey? Ann is a representative for District 7. So do you have anything to say in regards to the survey, since you are the District 7 rep?
All the comments I made, the changes, I think were done very nicely. I think it's laid out great. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
and sparkly, and I just hope it's money well spent. I don't know what kind of information we're going to
What
elicit.
did we spend?
$1,000.
That's.
I hope-
I thought it was easy to use. I mean, it was.
And I think that I hope that people will take it seriously and put some thought
Yeah.
into it and actually respond to it. If we get a 10% response from the freeholders, it's not going to be very useful.
No.
We had a question amongst,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
What little bit I know about the survey questions, I think one of the questions, and I don't remember, Sue, because we discussed an awful lot, but had to do with increasing boat fees.
We don't know what we're gonna do.
Well, you're
We're
talking about-
asking, the survey will ask what options freeholders would be willing to, do within the scope of what we're allowed to do.
Yeah, but they don't even know about the fact that in order to raise boat fees, whether it's going to be for people within the Conservancy or outside, non-residents, it's all tied in with the consumer index. Most people don't know that.
It's
I'm
in the
talking about
survey.
freeholders.
Right.
It's actually in the.
It's
survey.
actually in the survey that says we can only
Yeah.
raise it in response. to
It's
the
very
survey.
explicit.
Uh-huh.
And we won't be arbitrarily doing anything. We're just gathering information at this time.
Mhm.
We don't know whether we can do anything or will do anything or,
That's why we have a survey.
yeah, but we really want the input. With the new manager, we just felt like he needs to know where we all stand if everybody actually submits their responses.
I think the woman from Epley did a very nice job, and you can throw that out to her if you want to, because she took 5 people sitting around chit-chatting and made a very
Yeah.
nice, slick package.
Yeah.
She didn't define the special benefits tax, though. Didn't we ask her to do that? Because some people just may not know what that is. And I noticed in that question, it didn't define it. Did I miss something, Ann? Or
I don't recall. Sorry.
I thought we had agreed that we would need to make sure to put in parentheses what that was.
Well, then we should probably.
Just to be clear. And then I think the numbering system kind of is confusing on the extent to which you agree or disagree. We were just talking about this with the 1 through 7.
1 through 5?
The hard copy is different than the.
It is.
than-
Well,
Was that
it's-
for sure? Okay, so that.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you actually
saying
pay
yes.
attention.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, she said, I was talking to Pam earlier, she said she was gonna mix it up so that you couldn't pencil with it, you know.
You couldn't just do all agrees, because sometimes it meant you didn't agree.
Exactly.
Because that's what surveys do. I mean, that's what a good survey does.
Okay, Marty, we haven't heard from you.
I'm just reading it over. I mean, I don't want to stand in the way. I don't see anything in here objectionable. I mean, it's mostly things I'd like to add, but I suppose we could do it later. I mean, I'd like to ask people about Cemetery Island. I think it's crazy that we don't put picnic tables on it. I'd like to ask them about webcasting the meetings to see if people would find that useful, because people in my neighborhood have indicated, for example, they live in Chicago and they can't make it down here on Thursday. But it would be, you know, a waste of time if there wasn't interest in people, you know, logging in. And then the third thing is, that I don't see in here, is would people support revenue generating activities such as canoe rentals or things like that in lieu of tax and fee increases?
That actually is in there. That
Is
is
that in there?
at the very
Yeah,
back.
I just read it very briefly.
And we
but-
made it say that.
But I don't object to what's here, so I guess I wasn't ready to discuss it. I thought the agenda tonight was very specific on almost an emergency basis for the barge operation. So I hadn't spent a lot of time looking at this because I thought we'd discuss it at the regular meeting.
We
but
have to discuss it tonight
little bit of
because
time crunch.
we're under time.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with it.
Yes,
If
sir.
Cemetery Island
If
could
we run
be
over time, how much
answered pretty
more will
quickly.
it cost?
Jim
I mean,
said it's-
did she give you a number?
She said one curve.
I go over there all
She's
the
been
time.
very
I
patient
love
with
it.
us,
She's been
really.
very
Yeah, I think
patient.
Well, right now.
Yeah, pretty hectic now, but.
Stuff
Well,
like
once the-
webcasting.
once
couldn't we just-
And if you want to add comments in like that, let us know and we
I
can.
just, it's additional email. It's kind of crazy that.
I'd actually know that on that, but-
Really?
Okay, so should we go back to your,
I don't know if Marty heard what Adam said.
What?
If you do have the comments or you want those additions, we could just let me know.
Well, I don't want to delay the process. I mean, we can always do a subsequent questionnaire, or, you know, actually some of these things wouldn't necessarily.
yeah.
Sometimes you gotta be careful what you ask
So
people.
you're willing to turn
Yes.
Cemetery Island into
I want to see
a
if
party place?
No, I
mean,
wanna
that
ask
seems
people-
kind of rude.
I want to ask people what they think. I mean, I think if we were starting this thing from scratch and we had an island and we said we're going to leave it off limits to the people paying for the lake, but we're going to leave it just exclusively for the geese that we all hate and make sure they can procreate, I think people would say you're crazy. Why in the world would we want? I mean, it'd be one thing if the eagles were living there, but the geese are considered a nuisance, at least by my neighbors.
What are you wanting to do with the island?
I don't want to do anything. I want to ask the people. This is something that Bob and I talked about for years, and Bob didn't want to deal with the hassle of going over and cleaning up the trash and all that. But we've got an island in the middle of the lake that has a sign that says no trespassing. And I think that with new management, it would be because the question has never been asked. Since the Conservancy District started, that island was always off limits. It doesn't seem logical. I mean, it seems logical to me that would be an open question, that people might want to be able to stop and picnic there.
Can we give?
But we don't have to
Adam
put it
that-
on, we don't have to put it on this
Can we ask
questionnaire.
if we
I
can
think
ask
you're
something?
gonna run into issues
And they have
with a lot of the old timers around Unionville with that island.
There are a lot of new timers on the lake, though. I mean,
A lot of old timers in Unionville.
Let's get it on the survey. And
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that's the reason
Yeah,
I would put it on a survey.
Yeah.
I have no idea what people think. I may get 90% of people say that's a crazy idea, and I may get 90% of people say, yeah, we would love to be able to
Yeah.
canoe. People in my neighborhood that take out canoes, they would love to be able to canoe over there and stop and have a picnic.
okay, well, why don't you make that
Yeah.
request, and
We'll
then
add it in
that'll be a
there.
discussion for another day.
And then the other thing is I had a specific request in my neighborhood to start putting our meetings, not just tape recording after the fact, that they want to be able to ask questions in real time. And, you know, they live in Chicago, they can't possibly come down here on a Thursday.
Sorry about them. Come to the meetings like we all do. I live in Indianapolis.
Well, you know, we have technology these days that allows us to overcome these issues, and the question
Call a
is,
caller.
would enough people use the technology to make it worthwhile? And if people said, yeah, well, 10 people would use it, but, you know, again, I don't really care if either one of those questions is on the questionnaire. I think the questionnaire is fine. I don't want to delay the process. These are issues that can come up later. I
Okay,
mean, I go
all
to the
right.
island anyway.
Good. That's good, all right.
We were going to make a
We
motion? or-
have
Well,
to
we
go
have a
back to,
first and
we had a
second.
first and second motion to allow
okay.
Adam to be the point man on this now that we've had discussion. Are we ready to vote?
Ready?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And ayes have it, motion carries.
All right. Sediment weir feasibility study. We talked about this last time. It's not feasible. It doesn't nearly cover the cost. of the study, let alone implementation. We can do in-lake sediment retention ponds with gabions ourselves with our equipment without any extra permitting. We kind of said that management wasn't going to follow this for that grant. I didn't realize at the time that we have to have a motion to not accept the grant monies. So I would like to ask for a motion that we're not going to accept the feasibility money, feasibility study grant.
This was your red flag. You want to make the motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we reject the proposal.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of rejecting the sediment concentrate weir grant, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next up, we did get $5,000 from DNR for vegetation management money. We had bidded that out. We sent out to 3 different companies. One company didn't respond, another company's up in Elkhart. They said they couldn't feasibly come down here and bid it for that amount of money. We did get one back from Aquatic Control, so we would like to award this grant contract to Aquatic Control. So I need to seek a motion to award the DNR layer vegetation grant to Aquatic Control.
I so move.
I'll second. Sorry. It's been moved and seconded. Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Check.
All right. May 2nd, Volunteer Day. We're going to do it. Vince was kind enough to let us borrow his power washer. This week we're going to go out probably tomorrow, power wash the bathhouse, the benches. We're going to be picking up paint and stain. There's a lot of yard work and stuff too, so people have little hand tools, rakes, stuff like that, and they're coming out and want to bring tools. That'd be incredibly helpful. I think we'll meet Saturday morning around 10 o'clock. And we'll kind of delegate out tasks and move from there and see if we can't beautify the park up a little bit.
Besides rake, whether hand tools are you talking about?
Maybe like pruners, rakes,
How about blowers?
Paintbrushes, painting supplies would be helpful.
buckets, yeah. We'll pick up some
Drills,
paintbrushes and the
things like
paint.
Hammer drill maybe.
Last year, we started a list of folks who would be interested in that.
I have that.
Do you have a list? Have you notified those folks?
I've been talking to Bill Railing about supplies and whatnot, and no, they haven't been. Just because we haven't really.
Does that list have emails?
Most of them do have emails.
Do you think it would be
Well,
good idea
I have
to
a plan
send
to send out an
an
email.
email
I
for
really
that?
haven't got all my ducks in a row, or we haven't on, who's doing what, so I kind of wanted to, give some tasks and whatnot. I've been in contact with Bill Railing, and he's talking to us about paint and his supplies and all that, so, it should be going out, but it just hasn't.
Okay.
A little hectic at the office. So that's where we're at the volunteer. We did get bathhouse plumbing repairs. I contacted the head attorney with the city of Bloomington, who does all their ADA compliance for their buildings. I said we're just going in, we want to redo the piping, want to redo the toilets. She said we're doing general maintenance and we're not triggering any ADA requirements. So we did get a couple quotes in from different companies. If I can find them real quick.
One is rather high.
One was very high.
That's probably because they're ADA. Yeah, that's what.
And they were told not to. That's my plumber.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, alright. So we ended up getting 3 quotes back from Paul Young Plumbing, Mann Plumbing, and Dunham Plumbing. We do have $5,000 that we put in for the monies this year for park maintenance and update, extra that they added in for stuff like this. Dunham Plumbing came back with a quote of $18,000.
Holy moly.
Mann Plumbing came back with a quote of $6,795, and Paul Young Plumbing came back with a quote of $5,000. Well, it says $6,200, between $5,800 to $6,200 is what he says, depending on what he runs into. We do have the money, and needs to be done. I'd like after this painting to get it all out, get it installed before the season starts.
What are they going to do? Are they replace toilets, replace sinks?
They're going to replace the sinks, all the toilets, the urinals, and we're redoing the entire piping to the PEX system, so we're not hopefully constantly breaking pipes every season.
Excellent idea.
Did we look into buying the stuff ourselves?
We
As far
started
as
to.
fixtures go.
We started to, but I would just want to, and it's a crunch of time, and we have to have this done to get our beach permit in place before Memorial Day. I just want to bid it out and get it done. I'd like to do the prep work ourselves. We're going to do the demolition ourselves, and then I'd like to just have a company come in, they get it, and get everything done.
Because you know you can just go to Lowe's and buy all that stuff. It's not like it has to be.
No,
ordered.
yeah. Well, we'll have to piece together, and we'll have to get it installed.
Okay.
And if we have them do it, they can come and probably knock it out in a couple days.
Well, there's liability issues as well.
Yeah. Want someone to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did look into it and started looking around, but just in
And
the
so then
time
we're not
frame.
making any ADA changes, is what you're
No,
saying?
no, we didn't trigger any ADA stuff. It's general maintenance for the toilets and
This
the
is
piping
yours.
and all that, so.
Adam, I do notice on the Young Plumbing, they've got I'm trying to see if this is apples to apples. They've got
Yeah.
5 elongated combo toilets with seats, and they've got 1 White Champion Comfort Fit, parenthesis ADA elongated toilet with seat. And then a
That's
urinal.
the 5,800 to 6,200.
I mean, it is the lower one, but why is it so vastly different? Or am I reading that wrong?
There's still 7 toilets.
Still 7, but one's a urinal.
You're right. And this one's got.
I mean, it is the lower estimate, but I'm just wondering if it could be even lower, if he's got an ADA fitted in there that we don't need. You see what
I'm guessing
saying?
that's why you had the range in there to cover the extra
Okay.
cost of the ADA
Okay.
toilet.
Just something to ask him about, because if we don't need it, I don't want to buy it.
All right, absolutely.
Although I've got to tell you, it's not much more money.
Actually, yeah, okay.
Because we
Really, you
we
didn't say?
put comfort fit toilets in our house, and boy, I tell you, when you got those and you go someplace else and you almost miss the toilet, it's a shock.
I mean, I get that we don't have to do it, like, we're not triggering something that has to do it. I just feel very firmly that it should be done, even though we're not mandated to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we could put
I want to go on record that, by God, if it's $400 more, I'll chip that in. It's stupid to not be ADA compliant. I have a child in a wheelchair, I have parents, and we've got all kinds of people, you don't know who's coming down.
Sure.
If we're making these improvements, it would be dumb to not do it.
I agree with you. We've actually looked at the bathhouse, and basically the problem is it's made of all basically concrete blocks. So in order, we talked about, removing a couple walls, taking 2 toilets to 1, and doing all this, and I mean, it's just a mess in there. I mean,
But
if you're
you
gonna
could-
do all that, you might as well bulldoze it down and rebuild.
But you
So we
could
were
put
talking
an
about
you
putting
could
an
put a
ADA
com-
portalet kind of right by the bathhouse to accommodate, the disabled, and, because physically or fiscally or financially, it's just going to be through the roof. I mean, 88 toilets just on itself was $18,000. So that doesn't include any of the modifications to have 5 foot and the railings and all that. So,
But you could put one of those comfort toilets in without, if you don't knock off any walls, you could still.
And the
I know you can't-
handrails.
Yeah, we will be doing it.
But I know you wouldn't be having the larger.
I was saying, you may not be
stalls.
100%, but giving somebody a little bit of
I
something
got
is
you.
gonna be better than doing nothing, so that's all I'm gonna say on that.
well, and to the board for their consideration, they don't have to decide today, but our portalets are $75 a month, and an ADA portalet, if we wanted to have that, would be $120 a month. So you figure maybe Memorial Day to Labor Day, for 3 months when we're in peak season, maybe it would be worthwhile to spend a few $100 and have a fully accessible toilet for those who really do need it.
And remind me, guys, Paul Young is your standard, has been the plumber, correct?
Correct.
At the office, or at the park, okay.
Is that James 75 and the other one's 120?
I think it's $76.50 for the,
Are there baby changing stations in these bathrooms?
no.
No.
Do you want to put in a couple tip-up style on a blank? I don't know the bathrooms.
We could do that ourselves though,
Yeah.
as far as anchoring that to the wall. It's not a bad idea.
Well, I make the motion that we approve the Paul Young bid.
Do I have a second? It's been moved, the Paul Young bid be accepted.
Are we going to do it at the high or the low level?
I think we should.
Well, normally with these quotes they're not really set in stone, like, you guys pick the guy, and we could go in and make changes to these quotes, is that right?
As long as we don't go over the $6,200.
Yeah.
So you just want the motion for the upper limit, 62 $235.86.
Let's call it 6,500.
Yeah, I like that better.
We'll need to let Lance know because we have allotted 5 for parks, and he recommended we start here, but he'll need to know about that overage.
And our druther is that we get a ADA or a combo height with
Yeah.
rails in both sex restrooms.
Well, then maybe
And a
you wanna,
changing table in both sex restrooms.
then maybe we wanna beef it up over 6,500.
He was at 7,800. I'm trying to figure out what he cut out.
He, I called
Is it
him
the demo?
and he said he doubled the labor. It was a
By
mistake,
mistake.
it was a mistake on his
Oh,
quote.
okay.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, Barb. Yeah.
Do you think he should have a little bit of a contingency in there? I know from myself, personal experience with plumbing projects. You always run into something unexpected.
Yeah.
So do you think
That's
we
why
should
you
put
were
a little
saying
something
65.
extra just in case?
Always 20% higher.
Well, we're at 6,500. If he comes in at his low end, we have a $700 contingency.
Yeah.
It's $700 contingency?
Yeah.
Little.
That should be a little tough. Yes, Vince?
Wasn't the demo taken out of those bids from the original?
I'm sorry, what was
This
the?
is a demolition, the demolition,
Oh,
has that been
Demo
bid?
in that.
No, it's never been bidded with any demo.
Okay.
I had it bidded that
All right,
clean
sorry,
slate.
okay.
Don't see any, do you?
Now we told him to do it in-house.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to accept the Paul Young estimate, which is a range. We're gonna-
I just have
I
a
think we
first,
made it
but
to
I might have missed the second.
You just have the first, I said a motion, but I don't think we have a second. Correct.
Okay.
You're correct.
Okay, so we have a motion and will I have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Keep me on.
It's all right.
all right.
With the $6,500
Yeah.
amount-
Cap.
Cap. Not to exceed. Not to exceed.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the Paul Young plumbing quote not to exceed $6,500, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And you'll get with Lance about that.
All right, the real meat and potatoes of why we're all here. First off, I'd like to say I understand the frustration in everybody. When I left 3 years ago, it seems like we're having the exact same discussions. We're in the exact same spot. I'm frustrated by that myself. The one thing that I do see that is different now is it seems like we have a board in its entirety ready to move forward, and they've agreed that we need to build a smaller machine to get to the expansive scope of work that we need to use. Is that true, board members? Could I get a raise of hands if we all believe we're gonna move forward?
Yes.
All right, so we're moving forward. We had the meeting with Mac before. We went down with our design that we had. A good majority of that meeting was just tearing apart our design. Wasn't gonna work. We started speccing out his standard size barges. I know we had the Mac size of 20 by 50 that we did from you guys, which we thanked very much. So we started looking at the barges he makes. He makes 10 foot by 40 foot long sections. So we were looking at doing a 20 by 40, 2 of those, and we were pricing out those barges. I, in that meeting, did not hear him say that we would be able to hold a 30,000 pound excavator and close to 100,000 pounds of sediment on it. He said we'd work with us on designing the barge, but I never heard him actually say that. So I know we got the 20 by 40 dimensions, because that's what he works with. Those are his standard sizes. It'll decrease the cost. Well, since he never said that, I started thinking about this. The 20 by 40, we're putting a 30,000 pound machine on it. I mean, essentially that's the size of 4 pontoon boats. We're putting a 30,000 pound machine on the front of it, and there's not a whole lot to counter the weight behind it. So I was kind of questioning it in my mind, and I just wanted to make sure, because I'm not a barge builder, James isn't a barge builder, Levi's not a barge builder, I don't know who on the committee was. So I just wanted to kind of go through and make sure this was going to work. So the first thing I did was call up a company called Poseidon in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I go, we're in the sediment operation, we're looking to build a barge. Currently we're looking at a 20 by 40. We'd like to be able to hold a 30,000 pound machine and close to 100,000 pounds of sediment, which 40 cubic yards would be 120,000 pounds, and 30 would be right about 90. So I said, we'd like to hold 100,000 pounds of sediment and the 30,000 pound excavator. They flat out said they wouldn't build it. Like, we will not do that. There's not enough safety buffer in there. We require on our designs to have at least 2 foot of freeboard above the water. They would not do it. We had contacted Dick Payne, so I was trying to glean some details off his design. We mentioned the 20 by 40 to 30,000 pound excavator. Dick said, I wouldn't put that on there, there's nothing to counter the weight. That's why his was 16 foot wide by 56 foot long. You have all that extra weight to counter a 30,000 pound machine up front. And I found out his sediment box was countersunk into the design. So as you're putting sediment in, you get kind of a ballast for lateral stability. So then I called up Mac, and I called him, I don't kind of been running him ragged, I think, over the past few years, so I called him on my cell phone. And you know, I'm in the business of building a barge. We're looking at a 20 by 40 machine, 20 by 40 by 5. We'd like to fit a 30,000 pound excavator and 100,000 pounds of sediment. Max says, isn't gonna work. So then I was like, all right, wait a second. The guy who we're originally basing this off of and our designs, he flat out said it was not gonna work with that size of a machine on there and that much sediment. So I did get from him, I called him up actually this morning. And I go, all right, on a 20 by 40 by 5, I go, I need to know the weights. He goes, a 20 by 40 by 5 sits 10 inches below the water on its own with just the weight of the barge. I said, every foot that you go down, 50,000 pounds will push the barge down 1 foot. So I started doing calculations this morning. Would it be able to hold it? Yes. If we put a 30,000 pound machine on there, and I took out the weight of the spuds, the fuel, excavator, the containment center, I started doing all this. I figured if we put a 30,000 pound machine on there, if we only have 1.5 foot of freeboard, it would hold 29 cubic yards before we maxed out the capacity. Before we maxed out the capacity, which is about 87,000 pounds, Poseidon said they wouldn't build anything less than a 2 foot due to the safety factors. If we have a 2 foot freeboard, that knocks us down to 21 cubic yards that this machine would hold. But with my calculations, this was total weight. This is saying that all this weight is spread across evenly on this barge. And it's not. When we're empty, we have this barge, the excavator, sitting almost on the front half of it. I mean, it's a 12-foot track length. It's sitting in the first 15 foot, and we have a 30,000 pound machine right there, and not much weight on the back to counteract that. So I started not feeling comfortable about this at all, since the fact that 3 of them said, no, it wouldn't work, it wouldn't build it, wouldn't necessarily hold it. And I think that's what Mac was saying before. He's like, well, it'll hold it, but I'm not going to guarantee anything, and there's just not enough safety buffer. Now, what I'm proposing to do, I know we need to build this thing. I don't want to stall on this. That's the last thing I want to do, is stall on this and push it out another 3 years. What I do want to do is have a professional designer, somebody who can do this math. I can't do lateral forces with buoyancy and torque if we're holding 4,000 pounds of sediment out, 15 feet to the side on this barge. I can't do that. So my recommendation is that we come back to the May 20th meeting. We will put our faces to the grindstone, and we will find somebody who will design this barge. Poseidon and Max said they don't do barge design. We come to them with what we want, they're gonna build it. They're not gonna do the barge design and guarantee a full barge. And I think we need that. I'm not a boat builder. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with buying a $100,000 machine, putting it on this and hoping it works from that start dimension. I need something saying, this is design, I'm an architect, I'm an engineer, this is going to work. And I think we'll be able to get that. Yes.
I'm okay with having someone design it, but where did we come up with the 30,000 pound excavator? Where did that number
I think that's
originate
based
from?
on a 30,000, we wanted a 1 cubic yard bucket, just to make digging easier. And I think to get a 1 cubic yard bucket, you have to have a machine upwards that weight.
And this barge would work if we went with a mini excavator, but then we're going to be fighting to get a half-yard bucket. I was looking in these current specs, which we did go look at the machine. It was a nice machine, it was good condition. Lee said he thought it was a little bit higher price than it should be. They had it listed in the machine trader for $96,000 with the hydraulic thumb. So he said it's a good machine, a little overpriced. We can put a smaller excavator on this design and it would work. This current machine, it has a recommended bucket size, and it even says with 3,000 pound per cubic yard sediment, it recommends a half-yard bucket on it. So we're already kind of maxing out the capacity of that machine with a 1-yard bucket. Can we get something that will fit in there with a 1-yard machine? Yes, Dick Payne had one ready to go. That was ready to hold a 1-yard machine. 30,000 pound machine. So we can build one that'll fit in there into the channels on the east end and into the other coves and fit a 1 yard machine, but this current 20 by 40 by 5 will not do it.
Why do we have to have a 1 yard bucket? So instead of taking 10 scoops, maybe we gotta take 20. Is it more about getting into areas that we need it to be productive, or is it more about speed?
No, that's exactly. We want to get as wide of a bucket as possible. That way it makes it easier to dig the channels and doesn't fill in, but no, we can go smaller.
You've seen the simulation of the size.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about
The PVC?
Yes, we have video of it and everything. And you're confident a 56-foot barge will make those turns?
No, that's
Okay.
that's why we're having an engineer.
Okay, well, you don't need an engineer to see that it won't make those turns.
Well, we can't go 20 feet wide if we're 56 feet long. You narrow it, you can go longer.
Okay, and we also know by MAC that it's way out of our budget to go over 40 feet long.
Because
Correct?
it's out of standard size.
You two were there.
It out of that cost.
And to go 50 was way over what we have budgeted for this barge. That's why we downsized. So if you downsize the barge, you got to downsize the excavator.
Right.
And I'm sorry, the people that threw a fit over a 0.8 bucket, that's 12 more scoops. You're still getting the 40 cubic yards. It's the trip that takes the time. The 12 more scoops to fill that hopper is not that big of a deal. Sorry, it isn't. The point is the barge can only be so big to fit certain areas, the coves and fingers of our lake. So let's stay focused with that. The excavator, I'm sorry, if it has to be smaller, it's got to be smaller.
I agree, 100%.
Okay.
So then why are we buying the excavator first? Wouldn't we buy the barge first so that it fits the channels and then get the biggest excavator we could
When
find?
we went.
They designed the barge, weight distribution and everything, based on the weight of this excavator.
And displacement.
Dick Payne said this last June. There's a number of you that sat there and listened to Bob say, we need to buy an excavator.
First?
First!
And then
And you were one of them that stood up through a fit.
the reason I'm throwing a fit is because I don't want that man to die. Okay? If this thing flips over, he's going to drown. Okay? This is not kid stuff.
Don't preach to me. Shut up.
No, I'm not preaching to you. I'm saying to the
No.
whole crowd.
Out of order.
We
Ron, I'm sorry.
cannot
Okay,
buy
no.
this equipment
Marty,
out of cart.
this is emotion. We gotta keep focused. I'm sorry.
No, okay.
You guys are out of order.
All I'm saying is Dick Payne, we tried to hire him for $15,000 to design this. And this board, some of you, said no. There was a couple of people said, no, we don't want to spend that to have someone design it. And now you're saying you want to have someone design it.
Yeah.
10 months later.
Should
And
have
all
a designer.
I'm saying is we know what the barge needs to be. And we've had numerous people say we've got to buy an excavator first within the specs that Mac has said. And the barge builder, not me, not Levi, he's buying equipment from the same guy, has said this, with this size barge, now, granted, I was there with you, and I heard him say 30,000 pounds. Now, was he talking about the sediment in it? Okay, I'll give you
It
that.
was a chaotic meeting.
It was. There was too many people there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, apparently he was under some duress with the father who was very sick.
That was a
and
chaotic meeting.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
okay, you go back to the man and you say, okay, here's an excavator. If it's got to be 20,000 pounds and a half a cubic yard, so be it. We can't buy something that won't fit. We did that back in 2008. We bought a barge that wouldn't fit in all of the lake. We've got that. Now we've got the opportunity to buy something that will fit in the smaller areas. Let's do it. The excavator doesn't mean really anything, the bucket size.
Did we look at new ones?
A new excavator, again in this 1 yard size, is going to come back at about $140,000 with the government
So it is.
discounts.
It is about $30,000 more.
Yeah.
But if we go smaller, it's gonna be less.
And with this design, we're gonna have to go smaller.
Yeah.
We have to go smaller, and I agree. If we gotta go smaller, we gotta go smaller. It is what it is. We're not gonna buy 1 cubic yard machine and go with their standard issue sizes and fit into the channel. It's not gonna happen.
Fingers
Yes,
and
Barbara.
toes.
Did the board ask our current dredger, Levi, what his opinion is?
I would love to
Levi.
hear it. We made him come to the meeting, we should let him speak.
Well, I'll probably get stoned up here. As far as downsizing the machine, you're going to get to a point, anything smaller than what a 30,000-pound machine is capable of handling, it's going to be like going out there with a pontoon boat and scoop shovel, is what it's going to amount to. You know, the idea with, it's not what the bucket holds, because just like the 3-yard bucket, you know, it's, I'm cutting a path every time about a foot wide with a 5-foot wide bucket. That's how come you guys can go out there and walk in channels and you're not gonna hardly find no high spots, no miss spots or anything else. You cut that down to a 2-foot wide bucket, how you gonna hit everything that's out there? It's just gonna be,
So you're not worried so much about the volume the bucket can handle, you're worried about the
How it
width
is.
of the rate that
it's
you're
the
taking.
width, right? That's the big.
But you're dealing with a channel too, that's smaller than,
Right, but it's the same principle, no matter if you're digging 40 feet across or 10 feet across, I mean.
So Levi, it's not whether it's a 1 cubic yard or a half cubic yard coming out. It's just we need a wide bucket.
We need a wide bucket, but, I mean, with a 1 cubic yard machine, I mean, you can't get hardly a 5-foot wide bucket, and it's gonna hold anything less than hardly a yard.
Say that again, that you just lost me.
A 5-foot wide bucket, I mean, you can't put that on a mini excavator and get any kind of material. You're not gonna be able to pick it up out of the water.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Levi, I have a question. My primary concern is safety, and I'm just concerned with the kind of heavy weights that we're picking up and the torque, you know, being 24 feet or 20 feet off to the side. The narrower barge, I'm very concerned about the thing flipping over. Okay? Who designs that? Is that a Levi question? Is that a Matt question? Is that a... Because my primary concern is when we bought the big excavator and the big barge, that equipment was a duplicate of what had been on the lake for several years. Designed by the guy that had done the dredging and guaranteed it. Okay? There was very little risk that it wasn't going to work, and there was very little risk the thing was going to sink or flip over. I could care less about the cost. We had to spend $500,000, I'm all for it. But I don't want this, and I'm not being facetious, I'm a professional engineer. I'm not a professional engineer in this field, but I understand what's, you know, the physics. When you reach a bucket out 15 or 20 feet and you pick up 15 to 2,000 pounds of material, that puts a tremendous torque that wants to flip that boat over. When you've got a narrow beam of only 20 feet, that resistance to that flipping over, especially if you get any wave action, and especially if you have that sediment not put smoothly, let's say the sediment's on the same side that you're working, that thing could just flip, and it would flip, and you would be underneath the thing, underwater. And I'm not being silly.
It's sitting on the bottom, and Dick had one 16 feet. It was less.
It's not just a matter of simple math. It's very, very complex. Somebody who is a professional.
The guy that you are saying and quoting is designing one that is smaller, 16 feet wide.
Who, Dick?
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's
So
have
now
Dick
you're
design
saying-
this one. But the thing is I haven't heard anybody say that, to my satisfaction, we're going to guarantee that this is going to work. We're going to guarantee it's safe, and I'm going to be the guy that's going to be holding the bag if this thing doesn't work.
That's why we
Adam doesn't want that. I don't want that. The board, none of us are experts in this. And so if Dick won't do it, we go out and hire a mechanical engineer and pay him $10,000 or $15,000. But my whole point is it needs to be safely integrated. So we're not finding out the day we put because what I heard at the last meeting in terms of Mac saying that it'll work is opposite what you just said. Opposite. You just said it wouldn't work. And you talked to Dick and said it wouldn't work. So you've got two people who've said it wouldn't work, and at the last meeting we were assured that it would work. Well, that's enough red flags to go, whoa.
Levi, were you finished? I'm sorry.
I have a question for Levi.
Oh, you have a question for him? Okay.
So you're saying with the bucket not quite as wide as what you have been using as far as being able to guarantee hitting all the spots. If you have like sonar, like Fish Finder, some of them show the bottom. If you had something like that to help you dig, would that be beneficial?
I couldn't, I don't know. That's really, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you
Everything by
could.
feel already.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't really
everything's
see
just
it.
by
See the
feel.
grooves in the bottom of the
That's a
lake.
good idea.
You know, I mean,
Fancy fishing thing.
I guess one big question is once the channels are dug, the small channels, I mean, I think when we started out with this expedition 2 years ago, the big picture was one of the selling points of getting the smaller barge was the bigger one was to be sold and moved out, and we was keeping a smaller one. That's one reason why we pushed.
We don't know that. We're gonna look at that in a 5 to 10 year plan. That's
Well, I mean,
not part of the decision here.
If you want my opinion, I mean, if you're gonna go with scale everything down, you're gonna spend $150,000 or whatever, and it's not successful, you know, what's another $100,000 and put a machine on there that can do everything?
But will it fit?
You know, Dick had one design guaranteed it to fit.
For how much money?
Okay.
I don't know what he priced it at, but I mean, we can have that barge built
By who?
by Mac
And is he gonna guarantee it?
to fit in that.
They want a
channel.
guarantee. We already messed that whole plan up last June.
In the past,
Well, I'm saying we can build one to meet like the idea and the same criteria that Dick was gonna have built.
And I'm not positive that Dick wouldn't bid out on this. We've been in contact with Dick. I think we shot ourselves in the foot a year ago and we had the opportunity to put something on the water, test it out. If it didn't work, it was gone. I don't know why that was passed up. That's very frustrating for me. We've been in contact with him,
Great question.
and he said he didn't say no. He said I'll mull it over. So we might be able to get him back in, and we're gonna look for other people too.
We shot
Do we
ourselves
need
in
an
the
excavator
time.
first?
We had bullets left.
I think we need the system design. We need someone to be, here's the barge, here's the excavators you can fit.
Okay.
I want preliminary. I want someone to say, you get a 20 by 40 barge, you can go out, buy a 15,000 pound excavator, strap that puppy down, go to town. I want someone to say 16 by 56, you can put 1 cubic
Will a
yard.
15,000 pound excavator work? I thought he just said that that would be too small.
Well, I mean, you're cutting everything back. I mean, it's like I say, you're gonna go out there with a scoop shovel directly in a pontoon boat. I mean, is it gonna be profitable? Is it gonna be worth our while for you guys to even buy that and even pay me to do anything?
We need a 25 or 30,000 pound excavator to do, okay.
Right.
To do the job, no. To do it at his speed, yes.
If we want to move one.
That's what he's
cubic
saying.
yard.
Well, what he's saying is the wide bucket, he gets it
Can't
even.
put a
He
great
may
big
not
bucket
get a
on a
whole
little bitty
cubic yard.
machine.
I know that, but when you're digging a small area, you gotta have I'm just sorry. We know we're digging small areas with this small barge. I'm sorry, that's what it is. Now, you were also there and seen us, I'm sorry, to see that video. And you seen us turn a 40 by 20. And you're gonna stand here and say that a 56 by 16 will make that turn. You can make that turn.
I think it would, yeah.
Okay, Levi. I trust you guys. You were
know,
there
I
with us.
was. And I think James could probably remember me say this if it's not on your video, because that what you had built was a 20 by 40.
Yes, sir.
And I said, I think we could do a 20 by 50. And that was my whole push, was to go longer.
I know.
And, you know, I know Dick's was 56 feet. You know, if you take 6 feet off of it and widen it out 4 feet, we're still getting our length to counterbalance a machine big enough so we can go in there and knock his stuff out. And
Okay, we're talking about the smallest areas of the lake. It can be used other areas, but if we build another barge, Marty, that won't accommodate all of this lake,
That's the
And I
worst
tell
thing-
you
that's
what.
the worst thing we could do.
We're missing the boat.
I have a question for Levi. Do the spud bars offer any balance when you're digging?
not a lot, no. I mean, even with the
They're
big
just keep
barge,
from moving.
right, even with the big barge till we get it, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, 40 feet wide, it's got a lot of, you know, stability to it, but you can swing that big excavator around there, and if you was to be careless with a bucket full with an empty barge, you can pick one side of it up out of the water.
Yes, sir.
Not to be argumentative, Marty, but on your point about it flipping over, if they're dredging in a shallow area,
and you've got the arm out, I don't think you've got the clearance, enough water. It'll list, and he may get hurt, but I don't think it'll flip. I mean, if it's gonna flip, we shouldn't be dredging. There's too much water there for it to flip.
What about one of these?
No, I don't.
The thing is, I don't know the answer to that.
And
That's
no, I'm
why
just
we
saying,
hire
I don't
experts.
think it'll flip. I think we need to reduce that hysteria that he may get killed. He may get hurt, but he's not gonna get killed. He's not gonna
Put it in his hands.
Maybe a little bit.
Put it in his hands.
Well, Tina, did you want, I'm sorry, are you, for Levi? Done? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Are you done, Levi? Thank you.
Levi, you made one point about spinning that around. If you're talking about the way you spun it around in Salmon Harbor, you used the bucket to turn that barge.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about.
Right.
You'll use the excavator to turn that in a
Right.
sharp turn. Okay.
Oh, right.
Absolutely.
We need
Okay.
a professional.
We need a professional. I'm not a boat builder. You guys aren't boat builders. We're not boat builders.
Tina?
Hi, I'm Tina. I'm from the Dredging Study Group. I'm the chairman. And we've been over this and been over it. And yes, we did shoot ourselves in the foot last year when we tried to get Dick Payne to build it. Again, still heartbroken about that, but that's water under the bridge, so to speak. We're going to move forward. I have been involved in all the talks this week and last week and everything that's been going on. And
thank you for that, by the way.
What was said or what wasn't said. And my big concern, my big red flag here is that there's really nothing in writing. And I think when you spend that kind of money, I think you need something written, and I think you need some guarantee, and I think you need something to back it. I think that the Dredging Study Group would absolutely move forward in asking this board to hire a person who is qualified to design this barge, a person who will guarantee it, and a person who will stand by it and give us all the specs and the safety issues that we're talking about now, to make sure that it can do exactly what we asked, what we need it to do throughout the whole lake. I mean, we've got a whole list of things that we need to do that the big barge will not do. And there was concern about, leaving one idle, leaving one, moving. In our 5 and 10 year plan that we plan to discuss, having the smaller barge and the big barge work hand in hand and we want to build more revenue to be able to hire 2 crews, to be able to work them, to be able to keep digging in this lake. So my plea to the board this time is to please, I like Adam's recommendation. I think that we need someone who knows how to build a barge, who will put their hat on it. I'm not going to put my hat on it, on this idea, because it's too many ifs, too many questions, too many, we don't know. And I want to know. I think we need to know. We put a lot of work into this study group, and I think, we deserve to know that it's going to work. I like the idea. I was told that, this will be something that we're going to really work on in the next month, and we'll probably see a recommendation from this group and from our managers and even from the Dredging Study Group of a good recommendation to hire such a person that can design this. So that's what I wanted to say. So I'm absolutely for it.
I mean, do you know people that are willing to do this?
We are running down.
We're gonna find them.
Every last
We'll
thing
find them.
thrown out,
Okay.
and that's, it's,
Got no choice.
yep. Yes, Barb?
May I make a suggestion that
Okay.
Dick Payne knows the lake? Cramp in my leg, sorry. Oh. Anyway, he knows the lake and what have you, and I know there was a problem about him doing it and then he refused to do it or didn't want to do it anymore. And couldn't maybe someone from the board or have Adam, approve Adam to go to Dick Payne with hat in hand and say, gee, we would really like you to build our barge or recommend how to do this, that, and the other thing since he's done it before, and he has always guaranteed if it didn't work, he would take it back. Couldn't the board do that?
He's in contact.
Yeah, I've actually started a discussion with Dick.
Have you?
I spoke to him the other day, and I completely agree with her.
I don't think we need a motion for that. I think that was something deciding. Ron?
Real fast.
It's all right.
And Bob said that he had searched and Dick Payne was the only one, and he was unable to find someone that would design this barge. If you cannot find someone to design and put their signature on this, is this board ready to go with Dick Payne's design and build a 56 by 16 barge as Plan B?
I don't think we can answer that at this time. I
Well,
don't-
you're concerned that it's not going to make the turn, so I still have
Oh,
concerns
no,
about the.
I'm trusting them. If Levi says, and he's the guy that makes the turns, and he witnessed us build a simulation, and he says he can make that. Is that Plan B?
I will back Ron up on that. I was part of that process. We searched high and low when this thing has started to find somebody to hang their hat on that nail. Come tell us how big, how wide, how long, what'll work, won't work. It's not to be found. Ron's not.
There's no one out
on
there.
that. That's the truth.
You mean other than Dick?
So when we
The
come,
sole person we've
How
had.
about we give Dick a
from.
plaque
We
with
need to
an
do
eagle?
something.
Seriously, I'm not kidding. Dick's an old guy. He's an old school guy. Okay, I think he's been a little bit. Feel like he's been dragged around maybe a little bit by the process. No. You know, just
He stated that, that's why.
I would give him an eagle photo with a little thing inscribed saying "Lifetime Appreciation Award for all the great service." You think I'm joking? I'm not joking.
No, I'm done.
I would go in here with hat in hand and say, the board would like to present you with this token of appreciation, and we beg your forgiveness and indulgence. You know, we're trying to do the best thing, but Dick, we just need you.
I agree.
I'm not sure we need to go to that extent, but
Well, whatever.
I think we
Aim
should,
at the,
we should go back to the man if that's all. But I think we need to keep running down this. There's got to be somebody out there.
what's Plan
I-
B?
yeah.
What's Plan B?
We'll find somebody.
Yes,
So at this point in time, nobody's hung up on a 1 yard bucket. I mean, they're open to other options.
Right, I think so.
I think we have to.
I don't think this equipment will ever replace the big equipment. I
Well,
see it as
It's not intended to.
right. So if you have to take it by little tiny watermelon scoops, then because the barge really is the limiting factor, not the excavator. We only can have so big of a barge.
Right.
Once we know the biggest barge we can fit in the channels, then we're going to know the biggest excavator we can fit on that barge. It's really not even a negotiation at that point. That's why it seems like the barge should be driving, not the excavator. Because we could potentially get too big of an excavator and not be able to get a barge that fits. So
We
let's
have the dimensions.
so if we get a barge that fits, then we can get the biggest excavator with the biggest scoop that we all know is going to be safe and efficient.
I agree. This is not going to go around another 3 years. I'm not going to sit back and just watch indecision happen. That will drive me crazy just as fast as it drives you guys crazy. We'll find somebody. We have the plans now. If we have to go by somebody, we have a 20 by 40 by 5 foot barge. Tell me what I can put on this and show me where to lay the sediment bed out. If that's what we end up having to do, that's what we'll have to do. It'll get done. It will get done.
The other recommendation I think the board should consider is, we do have that money sitting in the checking account. And if you ask Lance, our treasurer, I'm sure we're not gonna get any more return on that by shoving that back into a CD. I mean, I would like to see that money stay in the checking account and be readily available to be able to take care of a consultant or whatever we need to do that. And rather than shoving that back into a CD to be locked in 6 months or something.
I think Adam
it
seems
can
to
happen,
be-
so we gotta be optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of confidence in Adam. He seems very motivated to get this
These
done.
guys have been through the ringer.
Either
this
that or
week.
he's scared to death.
Well, once we have this barge on the water, my life will be great out here.
I do have one more thing.
Exactly. Everybody will be happy.
Yes, Mike.
After last meeting this month, I went to Adam and I asked him if he had ever considered a lease of an excavator. And Tim Ross, who lives in our district, has received 4 quotes from 4 different companies to lease us an excavator. So I would like the board to consider, when we do find a barge, we may possibly lease an excavator and see if it works before we go to the extra expense of buying an excavator. And Tim's here tonight if you want to hear what his results are of those lease, or we can talk about it at the next meeting. I've asked him to give those to Adam, and Pam has been notified of this. So, thanks, Tim.
For everybody.
All right,
Well,
awesome.
thank you.
And based on the numbers that I heard, Mr. Mike, it's definitely something to look into. I agree.
Well,
I think we have to
the
look
benefit
at
of
it.
the lease is they maintain the equipment.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking for a motion or anything.
It's not something that the lake would have to maintain.
And you've asked them, can I put this, you've said we're gonna put this on a floating.
They don't care where you put it,
They
it's
don't
paid,
care.
if you pay for the insurance, and the insurance is gonna be 15% of the rental cost.
You know these guys?
I've rented equipment from all.
Okay, cool. All right.
Nice job.
Thank you very much for that.
Thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box, I love it. I like
So
it.
maybe we can get a barge builder and not have to worry about bidding out an excavator and possibly leasing it for 2 months and then give it back.
At least get something done.
Right.
See how it works.
And that would not take an appropriation nor a special meeting.
From 2,800 to 45.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Tim, thank you for this. Did we review these?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to make sure that you guys had them, you're
Appreciate,
aware.
appreciate your legwork on that. I'm a big lease fan on things that, you know, that appreciates.
Let it be somebody else's.
Whatever, yeah, exactly. I did talk to Lance about the insurance on a leased machine, and he said it would be similar to buying, leasing, or insuring things that we purchase, so that's not an issue. So, anyway. Well, I appreciate, this has not been fun. Believe me, I'm not sleeping either. I don't think Tina is. I don't know that we need to.
I don't think, I think we have a
vote.
game plan
I think
and direction.
it's a matter of.
You're not gonna vote whether or not you're gonna agree to look into a consultant. You already have that.
Do we need a motion?
I don't think we need a vote.
I think there's a consensus.
Yeah.
If you want to vote, we can take one, but I
I
think.
just wanna make sure, you know, we
Probably
get
would
next month and we might forget something, I just wanna make
Professional
sure.
to do it that way.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he
That
has
makes
the
it
authority to look at professional people. He doesn't need the authority. When we enter into an agreement with them, then we'll need a.
Okay.
I can't execute it, but I can
Right.
find the person.
Is that the end of your report?
That's the end of my report. Thanks for bearing with me.
Thanks. Well done, Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to any new business or correspondence for future agenda that we have not already touched on? If not,
Public comment.
public comment, yeah.
I was wondering whether the board could get after the county to work on North Shore and Low Gap Road. Very, very bad for people coming to the lake. I don't know if you've been across it, John, but it's
the only way to
pretty
get
darn
here.
bad.
They have been repaving it.
Yeah, today they smeared a little bit of asphalt
Low Gap
around.
is pretty much done.
Is it really?
Yeah, and they smear it. That's a good
Because
word.
when I came across it 3 days ago, oh boy.
Yeah, but they worked out, yeah, we've been, the last 2 days, Dennis and I have been avoiding it because they've got tar everywhere.
Okay.
They've actually been fixing a lot of the roads around
They
here. They've been
have.
doing a lot of road
They
work.
have.
They've paved, regraded, and not paved, regraded.
Yeah.
And added dirt and gravel to Plum Creek already, to Indian Hill. So I think they're trying to do it in those areas, especially since there's so much traffic diverted since 45's under construction. I've just seen it with my own eyes that they've
It's just,
regraded
yeah.
a lot of those areas.
It's kind of a
Does anyone know
temporary
when
thing.
45 is going to be open again?
June 30th.
June.
Is that right?
End of
Oh,
June, end of June.
Yeah, so it's 6 to 9
I
weeks.
thought it'd be three months.
Oh,
Well, now, I talked to the crew there one day, and they said they were gonna be done in 2 more weeks, past this one.
That was the original date was that date at the beginning of April, and it said to last until June 30th. Now, if that has changed, I don't know, that was the original time span that they gave.
Maybe
Yeah, I
that's
don't
worst
know.
case scenario and they want to give you false,
What was wrong with the bridge?
I don't know.
It seemed pretty good to me.
yeah.
It's where
Yeah, that's
where
what
the
the state
pavement
thinks,
meets
that's
up with the bridge, that's what they're
Rubber meets the
redoing.
road.
The transition.
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. May 20th, next